It is really windy today. Let's see, 43 degrees, which is kind of funny because it doesn't feel that cold. It's only the wind that's making it feel cold. Days like this, that when you have a garden, sometimes it's just an excuse to be outside, you know? It's like, hey, why don't I just go check how that onion's doing? It is really gusting out. I think they're saying something like 45 to 50 mile-an-hour winds, but it feels a lot stronger than that to me. Every year, I do my best to start a whole variety of seeds and crops with a high percentage of seeds that I collected from the prior year. And you know, last year, I probably only collected maybe 2 to 3 varieties of seed for the garden, but I actually collected a lot of the perennials on my property that were going to seed. So, you know, I have a lot of different types of shrubs and trees and seeds that I'll try to start this year. I can find all the seeds and whatnot, but man, it is, it's a little crazy out. It's my enemy, grass. And fake strawberry. Fake strawberry looks like a strawberry, but it's fake. Well, this stuff looks like a strawberry, but it's not, and they have these what seem like kind of long tap roots. I don't know if it's actually a tap root, but it probably is. Anyways, these things are deceiving because they are also now growing amongst my strawberries. How did that cloud get there? Geesh. So this area is my summer garden, and all of the vining plants will be grown in here. Tomato, cucumber, watermelon. The goal is to be able to hang them from this trellis that's above you right now. It's about 8 feet tall. It's a little taller than this one. I think these are the remnants of some combination of tomato plants and more grass. Yuck. I might have to take the torch over here. So I'm just gonna do a quick pass on all the big stuff, toss it in this bucket, and that's just gonna be dumped for compost. And then I'll come through with the rake, get all the small stuff. What is that? There's definitely some stuff popping up here that might be something that I planted last year that either went to seed or just didn't really grow last year and then starts to grow the next year. It seems to happen. It's not as fun to garden when it's you know, 45 degrees and 50-mile-an-hour gusts, but sometimes you just feel like being in the garden. Whatever I'm pulling up right now looks kind of cool. I'm not really sure what it is. Doesn't really have a strong smell. Kind of just looks like some kind of ground cover. I'll say that every year I seem to have a different ground cover weed pop up out of nowhere. These mats that I'm walking on really do save a lot of time with weeding. So if you're wondering about whether or not, some of these winds are a little frightening, to be honest. What is this? Oh, not again. Oh. So yesterday, out in the garden, I got some dirt in my eye. My eye's been not feeling so great after that. And it was just getting better. I don't usually wear goggles out here doing this, but right now, I'm starting to think I should. So last year, this whole row was filled with lettuces. I think I had maybe 6 or 7 different types, and I started them indoors using my soil blocker, and that works really well. And then I came out and kind of hand selected where each would go. But I'm wondering if maybe this year I just do the lettuces in rows instead and run the mechanical seeder all the way down here. The tricky thing with this section here is that with all the tomatoes that will be grown in these rows, I get so many volunteer tomatoes showing up in here that it's a little difficult to manage all of them. I also kind of tend to leave them growing just because, you know, free tomatoes, right? But I end up having hundreds of tomato plants, I think, by the end of the season, so I don't really need to keep them all. And it definitely looks a little better when things are cleaned up. I kind of forgot that I planted watercress last year. So there's a lot of small greens growing in here, and you'll see like this right here is watercress and this is not. And you can tell because there's a different leaf shape. So I've been kind of scrutinizing each of the small plants in this garden bed. And the reason I'm doing that is because if I decide to seed this with lettuce, it's going to be a little bit difficult to, tell apart what I seeded versus what I didn't if it's filled with things that look like lettuces. This is a pepper. Dead, obviously. Be cool if peppers didn't die. It's always tempting to try to overwinter peppers, but if you want to overwinter a plant, you have to think about where you're going to keep it and how you're going to keep it from dying indoors, pretty much. A lot of little shells over here. I think there's an animal that uses this pipe for personal gain. I wouldn't mind the wind right now if it was sunny. That'd be a good trade-off. But it's not really how the weather works, I guess. You don't get to make trade-offs, huh? Unless you move to a different country or something. Well, the soil looks really good to me over here. Some really nice dark soil, and I can see what I think is the mycelium network breaking down, you know, the roots here. So it's always nice to see that. And I'm gonna try not to rip up too much of the soil this year. I definitely like the concept of no-till gardening and letting the soil microbiology kind of continue to form. I think adding a little bit of compost on top of it probably makes sense. Oh no, got some dirt or something in here. Try not to eat too much dirt, but when you want your tea, you gotta make those decisions. Whew. Take a look at the bitter dock root. It almost looks like a carrot. This is a carrot I pulled up from over there. Which the carrot smells really good, and I think it's probably still fine. I think if this was many years ago, you might be tempted to just go ahead and eat it, because on the top it looks like a leafy vegetable, and the root kind of looks like a carrot, so, but it doesn't really smell that great. I might take a look though, see if that's something that people do eat, because it seems possible. By the way, this is a trenching shovel, and they sell them at landscaping supply stores. And I really like the combination of this being lightweight and really strong. This does a really good job of getting underneath like roots or rocks or whatever you have to move. And the shovel wasn't super expensive, so definitely one of my favorite tools in the garden and just overall. Bitter dock. This is the corn from last year. So I started corn pretty late last year. There's a catchy little saying about starting it so it's ready, so it's knee-high by the 4th of July. I did like having corn in here. It was a nice thing to kind of walk up to when you came up to the garden. I also had a sunflower at the end there. You can still see the stalk. That was about 8.5 feet tall. And at the end of the season, I harvested all of the seeds off that sunflower head. So I just let it kind of sit there for most of the summer. And once it got too heavy, I just tied it to the top of this trellis here. And then it kind of dried out and I was able to collect the seeds. So definitely be starting some sunflowers this year. Just have to decide where, I guess. And I'm gonna direct seed them, I think. I don't think I'm gonna start anything indoors that doesn't need to be. That's my goal for this year. So I will probably start tomatoes, peppers. The peppers will have to be started probably pretty soon. I might start them next week, towards the end of March. Then again, it always comes down to the wire with the peppers in terms of if I start them too early, then I need to up pot them twice, and I do not like doing that. So maybe this year I'll start them late. And by late, I mean later. All this right here is grass mulch. So I cut my grass and tossed it in the garden. And it worked pretty well, but one concern I have with grass mulch, so actually that looks awesome right there, that soil. When I pull it up, it just looks amazing. We're gonna leave that there, actually. The one concern I have with grass mulch is grass seed. The last thing I want growing in this garden bed is grass. Haven't really seen a single bird out today. All right, it's gotten a little bit chilly and the sun's about to go down, so I'm gonna head inside, warm up, maybe start a fire, and come back out here and work on the garden tomorrow.